If you're a car enthusiast in today's world, you'll know that a lot of cars are constantly depreciating in value, and for the most part, they do go down apart from classics. Well, this is definitely the case with a lot of luxury limos and four-door sedans, which are the most depreciated cars on the market in today's world, where a lot of people don't typically buy these cars. Hey, I'm Cars with Ben, and if you like car content in any way, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let's jump into today's video. Kicking off with my first choice of car that I have put into this list is the Maybach 57/62. Now, some of you may remember this car back in around 2007, 2008, 9 year era, where a lot of rappers, a lot of successful people bought this car. Now, this car was specifically a match and competitor to the Rolls-Royce Phantom of the time, and to be fair, they still make Maybachs now. But I found this one for £37,500. Now, just think about that. That is a car that used to be £200,000 and is now just less than £40,000. The depreciation on that is ridiculous. Now, these cars come with a 5.5 litre engine, and they have up to a 6 litre with a twin-turbo V12 5-speed. Now, that is a lot of engine, but it is a very big car. Really, the car is all about the back. You don't want to be driving this car. You want to be sat in the back, being driven, and I think that's where the Maybach really has its own class compared to a lot of these cars on the list. I actually really like the Maybach because it's super long and you get quite a lot of legroom and a TV, and it's pretty cool and unique for what it really offers. That being said, the depreciation on this car is ridiculous and it just doesn't really add up if you bought one new, but now if you wanted something cool like that, it's definitely worth considering. At the number 2 spot, we have the Maserati Ghibli. The Maserati Ghibli was released in 2013 and is still being made today, in fact, which is actually pretty impressive for a four-door sedan that is really still on the market that people actually want to buy. And I do kind of like this car, but it definitely isn't my favourite Maserati ever to have been released, and it's very expensive for what it is. These cars were actually pretty much nearly £90,000 to £80,000, but now you can pick up one for just under 20 grand, which is ridiculous depreciation. Now, these cars come with, of course, a 3 litre twin turbocharged Ferrari engine with a V6. Some come with 3 litre turbocharged engines, or 2 litre if you get the standard range, but still, really, there's not a lot going on with this car, in my opinion. It's a pretty standard four-door saloon, but the depreciation really does show through this one. I think it's still an excellent car and an excellent brand, but given that it's Italian, it might not be as reliable as some of the options on this list. Now, you have to admit that this car does serve a purpose in that it is fast and it reaches where it wants to go with that engine, and it does sound good when I've heard these before. However, one thing to note about these is that Maserati have made up to 50,000 units, so they really do plan to carry on making these and making sure that Maserati sells in the numbers, because it did drop off quite a bit. At number 3, we have the car that is the king of four-door luxury and sedans. It is the 2017 Mercedes S-Class. From that era, roughly 2017 to 18, they made this car for quite a few years, and it does get changed quite a lot. Now, this car is the ultimate sedan that everyone calls the sort of limo in comparison to everything else, and this is depreciated massively at whopping £30,000 now. Given that this used to be a £100,000 car or more, depending on the spec that you got with Mercedes, it really differs, but this one really has dropped. I wanted to include this one because it's a really good car, and for this one, you've got a 4.7 litre V8 engine with almost 450 horsepower, and the fact that it is almost half the price of what a Maybach is when it came out is actually really good for the value, and you get a lot of car for it. It's still long wheelbase, and you could also go for the short wheelbase, but when you see one of these, you know it's more of an executive looking sedan. At number 4 is a car you've probably forgotten about. It is the Aston Martin Rapide. The Aston Martin Rapide was a four-door Aston Martin and one of the only of its kind that had come out from Aston Martin. It had production from 2010 to 2013 in the early models, and they actually are making an E version at the moment and still producing that. Now, this depreciated like crazy and wasn't as the same. Considering it was a £140,000 car, it is now £40,000 on Auto Trader from ones I found, so that is incredibly depreciated and really lost a lot of its value. These came with a 5.5 to 6 litre V12, which was an incredible sounding engine, and I really like these, considering the power that they produce was 470 to 595. I think these are probably the most luxury in terms of and difference from their cars, and Aston really know how to make it look extremely executive, and that's one thing I do love about the Rapide, is it's just so different from anything else on this list, and it just looks different as well. It also is really long and feels longer than most of the cars on this list, And I have to say, Aston Martin really got the styling right with this car, making it more like an extended DB9. It's a shame because you never really see any of these anymore, and they're so rare. At number 5 is another car that you may have almost forgot about as well, because you literally never see them, especially in the UK where they are made. It is the Bentley Mulzan. A Bentley Mulzan that was actually released way back in 2010, early days when these luxury cars were getting a bit more popular and they needed to produce a replacement. These retailed at £240,000, probably one of the most expensive on the list, aside from the Maybach, and now you could pick one up for just under 50,000 with higher mileage. But still, think about the car you were getting for that price and what you could also get nowadays for the price. I mean, it's probably like a Range Rover Evoque. These are the ultimate epitome of luxury, and even looking at the interior is typical Bentley. So the wooden dash, sort of beige interior, and just everything looking very shiny and bright. Especially with the boot that you get and umbrellas, for example, this was really the top class of Bentley that you could buy. These came with an incredible 7-litre V8, so it's no surprise that no one really drives one in today's day and age where cars are electric, and this just doesn't make sense. And even now, I never really see people driving or in the back of these often, unless maybe you're in London where you might occasionally see a few. The styling of these I think is absolutely fantastic, and they did get it spot on, but I don't think they got the pricing right with these cars, and you can definitely see that now because they've depreciated so much. So in a way, this car is now very much redundant, but I do believe Bentley are making new ones. And my final car on this list is the Porsche Panamera from 2016 onwards, which has depreciated massively in value. Now this car used to be north of £100,000 roughly, up until recently now, where they have dropped significantly in like the last 5 years roughly, and even the older ones which are worth even less. Now here's a massive car, but you can get one of these for 18.5 now, even a little bit less, to roughly 20, and that's really cheap, and depreciation has dropped massively. Now bear in mind, if you do want to pick one of these up, it is going to have a lot of maintenance in terms of affording to run it, and just generally buying parts is expensive. But these have dropped massively, I suspect, because of their engines and because of what they used to be priced at. And also they're releasing the Taycan now. This came with a 325 to almost 700 horsepower engine, so it was really good for the family in a fast travelling scenario. And it had a familiar interior that was really luxury and typical to Porsche that we know today, similar to the S-Class. It's a shame because this car really dropped off the edge of its depreciation, but because of the Taycan, that's really replaced it, and I suspect that's why they have come down. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, leave a like, comment, let me know what you think, and I hope to make more car content in the future. I'll see you then.